Hey there. You want to read some Reddit? Because I sure as heck do. Let's begin. Am I the asshole for accidentally telling my parents about my sister's pregnancy because I was tired of keeping her secret? Ooh, this could be juicy. I, 24F, have a younger sister, 21F. We're not really close, but we're not enemies either. We always had a competitive sibling dynamic. About 2 years ago, she told me she was pregnant. It wasn't planned, and she was freaking out about how our parents would react. They're pretty traditional and can be judgmental. She made me promise not to tell anyone. Like, full, you cannot say a word until I'm ready, serious. I agreed, but I was hesitant about it. She still lives at home, and I visit my parents pretty often. My mom kept making comments to me about how my sister has been, quote, moody and gaining weight, and asked if I knew what was going on. Every time, I had to pretend I didn't. I started getting really tired of keeping this up pretty quickly. I also felt weirdly left out of everything. She wouldn't update me much, but expected me to cover for her constantly. I was lying to keep her covered, but I had no idea what was going on, and I felt used. Last weekend, my mom directly asked me if my sister was pregnant. I hesitated and finally gave in. I think you should talk to her, which obviously confirmed it. My mom confronted her immediately, and it turned into a huge blow-up fight. My sister is furious and says I betrayed her and stole the chance for her to tell them on my own terms, or on her own terms. I told her I didn't outright say she was pregnant, I just didn't deny it. And honestly, I was tired of carrying the secret around my parents. She says I made it about me because I was uncomfortable for a few weeks while she's been dealing with something life-changing. Now she won't answer any of my texts. Part of me feels guilty because I did promise, but another part of me feels like I shouldn't have been put in that position in the first place. Am I the asshole? To everyone saying I should have let my sister know I could no longer keep this up and that I wanted to be involved in the situation, edit, I did. I very clearly told her my concerns, that mom was getting suspicious and I could not keep this up for much longer as it was eating away at me to hide it. Her response? It doesn't matter, and she doesn't care how uncomfortable I feel. It's her decision and not fair to her. From my point of view, it's unfair to put me in this position in the first place. As for being involved, she appeased me with vague updates once a week through a couple words on text. No solid plans for moving forward. I was just tired and done with it. Top comment. I was ready to vote the other way, but then you got to how you told your mom and she knew. Clearly, it was becoming increasingly obvious. It had been 2 months. The changes were apparently noticeable. If you had told your mom no, she probably would have known you were directly lying, and that wouldn't do anyone any good. So, I have to say, final verdict, not an asshole. I understand why your sister is mad, but it's kind of on her. And sidebar, it's definitely on her. What are you talking about? 2 months is too long to keep it going under those circumstances, but that doesn't make her an asshole. It just makes her someone who failed to figure out an effective plan in a reasonable amount of time before it became obvious. Maybe the parents are assholes for being judgmental, but I can't confidently say that in this situation with the information we have. Another one replied, yeah, agreed. 2 weeks, sure, you should have kept the secret. 2 months? Sis will be showing pretty soon, so the jig will be up anyway. She roped OP in and then made it her problem. The OP replied, hey, check that out. This is how I feel. I just don't understand what her game plan was to do. I kept it for as long as I could, but I'm human. I'm just not a liar. Oh, man. That's a crazy story. Am I the asshole for feeling weird that my brother-in-law keeps inviting my husband on trips but never includes me? Let me start with some background about my brother-in-law. He's around 40 and lives a pretty solitary life. He's gay, not the issue. But in all the years I've known him, he's only had one boyfriend. He's very focused on money and talks a lot about all the things he could do with it, but he rarely actually spends it. Personality-wise, he can be a lot. He likes bringing up controversial topics and doesn't really know how to read the room. He's very conservative. highly opinionated, and can come across as arrogant or inappropriate at times. He's brash and not the most empathetic person, which I think is part of why he doesn't have many friends. That said, he is extremely hardworking, careful with money, and very loyal to his family. What a nuanced individual. Wow. Because of that, my husband is honestly one of his only friends. At the beginning of last year, he planned a bros trip and invited my husband to Cedar Point. I had no issue with that. Not at all. I actually thought it was nice they could spend some time together, and I figured I could do a girls' trip or something. Later in the year, they planned a trip to Boston to visit a family member who wasn't doing well health-wise. They thought it might be the last time they would get to see him. My husband asked if I could come because I had never met that side of the family, and I had also never been to Boston. My brother-in-law said it should be a cousin's trip, meaning just him and my husband. I thought that was a little odd given the situation, but I didn't push it. For what it's worth, I've tried to include him in things so he doesn't feel left out. One of my close friends had a destination wedding abroad, and he knew them too. I even checked with the bride and groom first and invited him along so he wouldn't feel excluded. Also, I'm not expecting free trips. I would happily pay my own way. I'm just never invited. Yesterday, I found out he has a work trip to the Dominican Republic and invited my husband. Again, I'm not invited. My husband told me he wouldn't go if I didn't want him to, but it's a free trip and it's his brother, who honestly doesn't really have anyone else besides their parents. What bothered me most was that my brother-in-law called my husband, asked if I was around, he was on speaker, and then said he was sorry I couldn't come. At this point, it feels intentional. Yeah. And then he wants trips with my husband, but not me. So now I'm wondering if I'm overthinking it. Okay. Maybe I'm in the wrong, but top comment says, you're the asshole. He wants to spend one-on-one time with his brother, and wanting to visit a sick relative with people who are close to this relative also isn't weird. I wouldn't want to be meeting new people if I was ill and not at my best. Let the two brothers have their alone time. Also weird that you put the brother's sexuality when it has no relevance at all. That's a fair point. When she is never invited to anything, that is a bit much and intentional. Clearly, the brother-in-law has an issue with her. The husband needs to grow a set and stand up for his wife. There's no reason why the sister-in-law cannot be included sometimes. Another person said. Back and forth. See, very divided. I'm curious to know, what do you think? I am more on the side of like, okay, it's intentional. At this point, it's intentional. Literally everything that they are doing, purposely excluding her. I don't, like every trip. Are you friendly with your brother? I think that's does your brother-in-law like you? You know? Because I think it's brother-in-law, right? Yeah, brother-in-law. So, like, if you guys dislike each other, then ding, 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 that's the winner. That's the reason why. If he dislikes you, obviously that's the reason why. I don't know. I think it feels intentional, but I can understand that there's an aspect of, like, just let brothers hang out and be friends again, all that sort of stuff. Very, very interesting. I think there can be two clearly different opinions on that one. Fascinating. Am I the asshole for refusing to call my mother when I get home? I'm 30. What? Okay, this one's really short, excuse me. Backstory, I have a highly anxious mother, and at times I resent her for it, although I'm trying my hardest to be compassionate. I live a street over, and she wants me to call her when I get home from visiting her. I feel like it's unhealthy and crosses boundaries. I told her I will no longer call her once I return since I live a street over, and it created anxiety for me. She called an hour later to make sure I returned home safely, and I flipped, saying it's going to make me paranoid. Am I being harsh? She won't listen to what I have to say. A participant replied, I get both POVs. Can a text suffice for both of you? Okay, I think that this person, it doesn't seem like there's a clear indication. I think that this person, not the asshole, boundaries are important for any relationship, even if it's familial or paternal, or excuse me, parental. So what's the problem? I don't know. What's the problem with saying like, hey, I don't want to do this anymore? I think finding some middle ground is nice, but if the mom's not listening at all, then, I get it. Am I the asshole for beating my date in a game of pool? So, for context, I am quite good at the game. I play regularly and against good opponents, two of which are in my country's nationals. So, I went on a date with a girl last Saturday, went to a pool bar as she had mentioned she liked playing pool. I said, I know a spot. I picked her up at her place and we went to the bar. We got some drinks, settled, and then we played our first game. I was taking it easy, just enjoying the moment. We played a few more rounds, then ate. While talking, I mentioned the two mates of mine who play nationals. So she then said, next game, don't go easy on me. I hear, much like a vampire hears an invitation to enter, I hear an invitation to go full force. We played a few more, and I made it a bit more challenging for her to win. Nothing impossible, just a bit more of a challenging game. And just before we left around 10 or 11 p.m., we racked one last game, and I decided to just play it normally. I cleared the table on break, not to show off, but just for fun. Cleared the table on break. You got what the hell? What were you playing, 9-ball? We finished our drinks, and I paid the bill, and we left. On the ride back to her place, she was extremely quiet, like noticeably less talkative. I thought nothing of it. She must have just been tired. I dropped her off and went home. When I got home, I saw a message from her saying, I asked you not to go easy on me, but I didn't mean turn it into a statement. It honestly felt like a bit of an ego thing at the end, and it made me uncomfortable. I was taken aback by the message and haven't heard from her since after sending her a message explaining it was nothing of the sort. The last game wasn't me trying to show off or anything of the sort. I had a good break, sunk 2 stripes, and had good positioning on the rest of them. Seeing as she said, don't go easy, I just played it out like I normally would. Am I the asshole? Mild, you're the asshole. Next game, don't go easy on me. We played a few more, and I made it a bit more challenging, yada, yada, yada. She asked you not to hold back. You continue to hold back. She probably ended up feeling confident and good about herself. If you had just immediately not held back, I think she'd be the asshole for reacting poorly. But what you did, though, was give an illusion of what she asked for and then pulled the rug out from under her. It was probably embarrassing, and it probably felt like being messed with. It doesn't really sound like it should be a big deal, but are you the asshole in the situation? Yeah, more so than anyone else. For what it's worth, she doesn't sound fun, though. Yeah, I mean, I agree. He's the asshole for toying with her. As one person says, she said don't hold back, and you still did. But then you threw in a, fuck yeah, I pretended the whole time, but I want to make sure you know how good I really am at the end. That would have given me the ick, too. Not that you're good, but that you babied me all night and then still had to show off at the end. Should have just played to your strength when she told you first to. When she first told you to. Then she may have been impressed rather than embarrassed that you continue to lie about your skills. Yeah. Kind of icky. It's a fair point. Am I the asshole? My 44M fiance, 43F, filled our house with pink pillows, despite knowing I hate the color. And now says my opinion no longer matters? I'm 44M, a pretty simple guy. I don't try to make my bedroom this grandiose thing. My style choice is making the bed so it looks nice and simple, with no extra fluff or decorative pillows. When my fiance, 43F, and I moved in together, she started putting some blue decorative pillows on the bed. I have to admit, wasn't bad. She asked me how I felt about it, and I told her honestly that I actually liked the changes. She then asked, what about pink pillows? I simply stated, no. There are really only 2 colors I don't like as decor, pink and yellow. Pink, because I've just never been a fan of that shade, and yellow because it triggers a very bad childhood memory for me. This conversation happened 3 years ago, and over the years, she would occasionally make comments about it, so I knew she never forgot my stance. The issue. A few weeks ago, she bought a bunch of pink pillows for the bedroom and the living room. It bothered me to no end. I figured I'd just try to get used to it, so I decided not to bring it up. Lately, I haven't really been hanging out in the living room or the bedroom like I used to. Instead, I've been retreating to the only room in the house that isn't completely turning pink, the garage, which we semi-converted into a second living room. It still has 2 pink pillows, but but that beats the 6 in the main living room and the 4 in the bedroom. My God. The confrontation, for some necessary context, we've been getting into fights almost every weekend lately. I will say or do something stupid and she will go off on me saying like, you don't let me be a person because of this. I've been trying really, really hard to hold my tongue when I have issues with her and just be supportive. Yesterday, she noticed my withdrawal to the garage and explicitly asked for my opinion on the new decor. Because she asked directly, I didn't feel like lying. I told her the truth. I absolutely hate the pink in the living room and the bedroom. Harsh. She went off on me again, repeating that I am, quote, not letting her be a person, which, what is that? And explicitly told me that she has decided my opinion no longer matters. That's fucked up. I tried to keep the peace and just avoid the rooms, but when asked directly, I answered honestly. How should I have handled this? Update. Ooh, an update. We finally sat down and really talked about everything that is going on, and we got to the root of the issue. As I mentioned in some of my comments, which I didn't read, sorry, she moved down here from Alaska right before COVID hit. Because of the lockdowns, she missed out on that crucial window when you moved to a new place to go out, see things, meet people. As a result, her mental state regarding living down here is almost entirely negative. She doesn't have any actual friends locally. Honestly, I don't either anymore because my own friend group has kind of exploded shortly after she moved down. Because of this isolation, she has placed a lot of the blame on me for the move, even though it was a mutual decision we made to get her away from her abuser. The reality is, the underlying trigger for our weekend fights, regardless of how small the actual inciting incident is, comes from the fact that she is profoundly unhappy living here. She is only staying because the 3 kids have established their lives here in the Peoria area. She misses hanging out with her friends, going shopping, and constantly changing up the decoration and furniture in the house like she used to do up north. When I pushed back on the pink pillows, she saw my color restrictions as me trying to take away the very last thing she does that actually brings her joy. I explained to her that I'm absolutely not trying to take away her joy. She explained that the pink is just temporary, and what she really needs is the freedom to change the colors of the living room and bedroom with more frequency, rather than our standard no changes until Christmas routine. Now that I understand what this actually represents for her, I agreed to find room in our budget to make that happen. Top comment. Eesh, she shouldn't have tried to bulldoze you and make decisions about the core unilaterally. You, on the other hand, 6 pink pillows on a sofa is enough to make you not want to sit in a room? Are you serious? Do either of you even like each other? My thoughts exactly, says another. But also, her saying, you don't let me be a person, sounds like there's something else going on. Yeah, I'm really curious about what others think he's saying and doing that are stupid. He sort of added that in as a throwaway, but it might be relevant, says another, and I 100% agree with that. Yeah, and depending on the answer, it could go either way. She could be jumping on any little thing he says to make him feel like it was stupid and offensive to the point that he's internalized it, or she could be frustrated that he keeps saying and doing things that she's told him she doesn't like, and now, to top it all off, he's acting like he can't even be in a room with pillows the color she likes. Yeah. I'm glad they talked it out. That's tough. That's really tough. Ooh, one more. Ready? Am I the asshole for starting to feel like I should tell my parents my sister's secret? Is this another pregnancy thing? Hold on, let me quickly skip this. I don't want 2 pregnancies in one video. Come on. Let me see. It ain't worth it. Ooh, snap. Here's a juicy one. To top it off. You ready? Am I the asshole? My fiancé and his sister went through my phone and found upsetting messages between my sister and I. Okay, so I need advice. I'm a 37F engaged to 40M. We have been together almost 10 years. Wow. I will try to keep this as short as possible. My sister-in-law, to be, went through my phone and found messages of me venting to my sister about my fiancé and some of his relatives. She showed him the messages, and now now things are just very awkward between us all. I did apologize to my fiancé and his sister in the phone, but we are yet to speak face to face about it in the phone. Sorry. I am aware these things will never be the same again, as some of the messages were quite unfiltered, but they were all true. No one else was supposed to see them, and I forgot to delete them. Yeah, you shouldn't have to, though. Some of the messages were about how I'm going to break things off with him due to some behavior traits I've brought up and some past events that he continues to gaslight me about, including him cheating on me emotionally. Ugh. Anyway, there are so many things that have happened, and I have previously tried to end things with him, but he has always promised things would improve. Some things have, and some things haven't. Sounds messy. Anyway, I vented on WhatsApp to my sister, and we said some mean things, and now my fiancé thinks he doesn't know me anymore. Honestly, I feel bad for those messages, but at the same time, I can't help thinking it was overdue for us to address some underlying issues, and he won't discuss anything. Even before he saw the messages, he has always SW issues, swept issues under the rug, and this seems to be a pattern in their family. All he keeps saying is he doesn't care, but his sister is a different story. And he says that if I'm in trouble with his sister, and I better start sucking up if I want to be accepted by her. What? There is so much nuance to my story, and I'm afraid to go into too much detail because so much has happened in our relationship that led to my venting, and my sister is the only one I can vent to. I avoid sharing relationship issues with friends. Please help. What's the point if we can't address the build-up to my venting? Also, why did they go through my phone? I feel like I deserve an apology from them for going through my messages and phone behind my back. Am I the asshole here? Top comment. You're the asshole for staying with him when you clearly have a problematic relationship already. Now him and his sister massively violated your privacy and then got mad because you told your sister the truth? What the fuck? Please find your backbone and your self-respect and get the fuck out of this toxic as fuck relationship. Thank you for the rewards. God, I hate these people. It's fine. I don't hate you. I just stop doing that shit. It's cringe. Sorry. I had to stop reading, and another one quotes, at my fiance and his sister went through my phone because I knew OP was the asshole for still calling him her fiance. He'd be my kicked in the ass by the door ex-fiance the minute I knew this. Got it. Okay. Yeah. OP, you're allowing yourself to be totally disrespected and your privacy invaded. I'm worried about you. Please see sense and leave this man. XX. You're the wrong party. Yeah, I mean, like all this. That's crazy. That's insane. I hope this person has left. There's no edits. There's no follow-ups. What a shame. Maybe? Wait, hold on. I can look. No. Yeah. No updates or edits. And what a crazy one to end on, eh? Thank goodness that's not happening to any of us, right? Hopefully. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining me. It's a pleasure as always. Have a great day.